In this lecture, I will briefly introduce you multi-factor authentication or MFA fundamentals. So the main feature of an identity platform like Azure AD is to verify or authenticate the credentials when a user signs into a device, application, or service. And multi-factor authentication is a process where a user is prompted during the sign-in process for an additional form of identification. As an example, an SMS code can be requested and sent to your phone during authentication after providing the username and password pair. As a second step, you would need to enter the code that you received through SMS. Another popular option is OTP, and OTP stands for one-time password. Instead of using a code that you received through SMS, you could also enter a code presented in an application installed on your mobile device, such as Microsoft Authenticator. Also, some biometrics-related information can be used during authentication process, for example, your fingerprint or maybe a face scan. Now let's introduce Azure MFA multi-factor authentication. Azure multi-factor authentication provides additional security for your identities by requiring two or more of the following authentication methods. So please keep this in mind, the technology is called multi-factor authentication and not two-factor authentication. This means that at least two methods can be enforced or requested during authentication process, but it could be three methods as well. So these are the measures that Azure MFA implements. During the authentication process, you will be asked for something you know, for example, that could be a username and password pair, something you have, and again I am coming back to the smartphone example, so you could use here a code received either through SMS or in Microsoft Authenticator application, and something that you are, and this is related to biometrics, fingerprint or face scan are the most common ones. So the main point here is that Azure MFA increases security of your identities by requesting an additional authentication factor. And actually this is what we will do in the next lecture. We will secure our administrator account and we will activate MFA on the admin account here in Azure. Activating MFA is one of the best practices in IT nowadays, and it is definitely a great idea to activate MFA for all users that are connecting and using the Azure platform. Thank you, and I will see you in the next lecture.